Welcome to part two of our interview with Kirsten Watson, the Director of Corporate Marketing for Kinaxis. In this interview, we're going to talk about the video you saw in part one, Sweetmates, a very funny episode. And we're going to learn a little bit about how they made it. And then we're going to talk about their blog and the importance of patience and not talking about you, but talking about the problems and thought leadership and that approach and why it works so well, but why patience is so important. So watch Kirsten. I hope you enjoy part two and stay tuned for part.
Okay, that was a very funny episode of a very funny series, Kirsten. Tell us a little bit about the Just for Laughs approach and how you came up with the ideas, how was it born, kind of what are some of the inside stories of how it came about?
Yeah, it's a great question. And what's funny is one of the first forays into this, it started with Bill Dubois, who is the host of the Late Late Supply Chain Show. He is a business consultant here at Kinaxis. He's been here a very long time, and he's our resident funny man by far. Bill had created a blog post for our blog. I think we're going back about 2 years maybe at this point, and it was titled The Top 10 Signs You're Into Lean, L-E-A-N, which refers to lean manufacturing, as you probably know. And so he put in his top 10 reasons, right off kind of like the Letterman format. And not only did we get a ton of great responses on our blog, but we also published it to a few supply chain-related groups to LinkedIn. And we had people replying and putting their own comments and their own top 10, or here's one to add. And we got such a kick out of it. That then bore into this idea of why don't we consider, making a video version of the top 10, and we'll do a top 10 once a month. And then that just, the thinking caps got on, and lots of laughs in the lounge talking about how we might do this turned into, what if we made a whole late show out of it? And that's when the sort of late supply chain show was born. And off we went to a used furniture, office furniture warehouse, and dusted off and paid $50 for the old wooden desk. And then myself and a colleague of mine and our daughters came in late one night and painted a piece of canvas from Home Depot to try and do the cityscape in behind. So it's hokey, and it's obviously homegrown, but that's what we keep getting told is part of the appeal, right? It was just put together on a dime and a dream, and we've had a ton of fun with it, and it's also been great for morale as well because the shows are taped in front of literally a live studio audience. Everybody brings their lunch and comes and sits down in the lounge, and away we go, and cameras roll, and we have good fun out of that. And then that just got us down into the path of what more can we do on the comedic side, leveraging video and, what kind of stuff is out there that we can do. We've done some work with Second City Communications out of Chicago. They put together the Married to the Job series for us. Now, of course, we're working with Drama 3-4, which is an outfit out of L.A. who produce Sweetmates. We've got another series we're working on with them right now. We just sent script feedback yesterday. So, based on very, very, very positive responses from the marketplace, that humor was obviously something that everybody was lacking and looking forward to more of, was when we kind of went, light bulbs went on and said, let's be the company that lets, as you say, our personalities shine and also, delivers more of what the market's looking for. Because if they decide to, take their lunchtime escape to hit our community and digest some humor, they're going to likely look around at some of the other content that we make available as well. This week, actually, for the next several weeks, we're running a sales and operations planning blog expert series where we have a third-party expert that writes a blog posting on their views on S&OP, and we publish a new one every single Tuesday, and you can, ask questions of that expert off the community. And so the comedy is a way to hook people in. And then the other content is a way to make them stay. And that's sort of been the approach with comedy and video.
That's interesting how you use comedy to attract them in initially and then start to build out that relationship with thought leadership and some of the other approaches. I have a question that you've got just so much content now, and you're reusing content, and as you gave the example of a white paper and turning that into a video interview of the author, how do you get everything done?
Great question. I don't know. a lot of help, but honestly, we're not a very big team. There is all of my team consists of 4 plus another senior communications manager who's integral to all of a lot of the work that we do, and plus owns AR and PR. And I think it's just a result of all of us at one point buying into and quote unquote finding religion in SEO, then being creative and pushing the envelope and trying things and willing to take risks, having an executive team that's enabled us to do so, but then sitting down and really studying what we've done and what the results have been of what we've done, do more of what's giving good returns and less of what's not. And then the team itself is just, we're a very close-knit bunch, and we, brainstorm, share, help each other out all the time. We're not a siloed organization at all. And I think a combination of all that is what makes us really efficient in being able to deliver on this stuff. And, process, let me not lose sight of the fact that, we document and study and refine our processes, and we follow our processes. So, when X comes off the assembly line, the next 4 people are lined up to know what they need to do with and about that from here forward, and just everything starts to click from there.
Okay.
And I think we get pure personal enjoyment out of executing and then watching the results of what we've done come in. There's a real thrill anybody would get from that, right? And so we get fueled by that day in, day out.
Good. I do want to talk a little bit about the creation, specifically about the Suitemates, if I could, in that it looks like it was incredibly expensive between the big-time actors, the sets, the extras, everything. Most companies wouldn't even try to tackle basically an online TV show.
Right.
How did that come about?
It started with we now have a new executive vice president that runs marketing here at Kinaxis. He's basically the GM for most of the departments in the company, named John Sicard, that is quite creative. He's a risk taker. He's willing to try new things, and was willing to make an investment and say, let's do something big. This online video stuff is working. The comedic angle is working. What if we did something really eye-grabbing and made an investment that just, brought in and attracted a ton of people to come and learn a little bit more about what this, small but bold company is up to. And so the brainchild of Suitemates was really his, and he's the one that went down personally and worked with the team down out of L.A. to be on site and work with the scripts. We were all part of it, mind you, but I wouldn't steal the thunder and not give him the credit that he deserves for it. But the idea behind that was, about all those things I said was, let's make an investment here, see what it is we can get in return for it, and then we'll do more of it if it pays off. And it has, and we're doing more work with that specific company, in fact, but I can't tell or share because my finance people would kill me, what it is, because then we're private too still, so we don't disclose a lot about our finances, but it didn't cost near what many people think that it did. It was a great company that we worked with that had a lot of good relationships with some great talent. There was some talent, willing to try this web video world and take some risks and get involved, and even down to the set side of things. I wasn't there personally, but what I've learned is I think every scene of every episode was off one site. LA has these, I guess, studio places where there's a jail area, there's a courtroom area, there's I'm pretty sure, I can't say for certain, but I think the majority, if not all of those, were all set in one place, and I think the taping was done over 2 days. So, but, when it comes to things like talent, acting talent specifically, you do get what you pay for. These guys are pros, and they come in and they've got their lines down, and they just work, and they get it done. And, you're not spending a lot of time trying to get it right because they know exactly how to deliver. And Kevin Pollak and Ray Wise certainly did that, as well as their supporting cast. They were all excellent.
Oh, I believe it looks expensive. It looks like you really went all out on this thing. But I've interviewed some other CMOs, and it's amazing the creative approaches people use to do it. I was talking to the CMO of Eloqua, and they did the Juan Eloqua series. Well, the Spanish hacienda they filmed it in was the CMO's house.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, he had a crew come in and redo it. His house is a Spanish hacienda. So
It's amazing when they dress something up what can be done, right? And then the other thing is the camera angles. I mean, what I've learned through our EVP on some of what he learned about how all this stuff works behind the scenes. Now when I watch television, I'm wondering how much of what I'm seeing is as real as it looks, or is it are they really in a basically empty warehouse and they've just set this little shot up, and
You're
it's
right.
pretty fascinating stuff.
Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, and let's take a look at the 21st century supply chain. What is the concept there? What is it? Tell me about it.
So that's our corporate blog. But when we set out to build the blog, and this goes back to, I believe it was 2004, our idea with the blog is it would be our prime platform to show thought leadership. It wasn't about pushing the product. It wasn't about, building. It was about building brand, but not, product around our brand and talking about our own solutions. It was about talking about the bigger issues that exist, the trends that we're seeing, gaining engagement, hearing back from the marketplace itself on what their thoughts and opinions are. So we wanted it to be a two-way communication tool where we can showcase some of, let's say it again, thought leadership. We've got some very, very skilled, experienced domain expertise around supply chain here within our company that work for us that, some supply chain people would die just for an hour with these people. And we thought, our customers get access to that, but how can we broaden out, some of this thinking to beyond just our customer base and let, the broader audience understand that, we can be helpful and we can give guidance and ideas and get back from them their thoughts and ideas because, they all have all kinds of interesting points and angles on things too. So it helps us sort of keep our, thumb on the pulse of what's happening out there at the same time. In the early days, the blog was somewhat painful because it felt like we were talking and nobody was listening and we had very few visitors. And, if we learned anything, patience was a virtue through that whole process. And now today our blog is one of the industry-leading blogs. You can visit many other third-party bloggers, not just vendors, but vendors included, but even industry gurus that blog, that have our blog on their blog roll, that read our blog, follow our blog, blog about something they found on our blog. People retweet stuff they find on our blog. So we've really built it up over time, I think, by sticking to the core principle that it's about, displaying and showcasing thought leadership and gaining engagement in the marketplace, and it's not about us trying to push product, which I don't think it ever would have seen the success it's seen so far.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kristen. I think that you're exactly. Obviously, you want to be a thought leader, and people don't care about your products. I wrote an interesting post that I considered your products are like your children. You love them to death, but nobody else does.
I read that one. That's excellent.
Yeah. I think it's just, and a lot of business people think like their products is their children, and they're fiercely loyal to their children, and they have this myopia that thinks everyone else should be loyal to their children. So it's kind of interesting.
This concludes part 2 of our interview with Kirsten Watson of Kinaxis. In part 3, what we're going to talk about is more about blogging best techniques. We're going to talk about search marketing, and we're going to talk about the importance of patience and just and social networks, how they use social networks and why you need to continue to keep experimenting. So we hope you'll tune in to part 2 of our interview and get everything out you can out of this great marketing company. Have